If you're building Rails applications and you want to charge customers like a SaaS product, then you'll need to implement a billing system. And if you've ever done that before, you know that there are so many moving parts. There's a lot of billing code that goes into building a robust SaaS billing system in a Rails app. And that's why I built Instrumental Commerce. It is my complete SaaS billing system and Stripe integration that I implement on every one of my Rails applications that I build. And it's included in Instrumental Components. So in this video, I want to show you all aspects of Instrumental Commerce. I'll show you a demo from the checkout flow to the admin panel and everything. Then we'll tear it all down and I'll show you how you can build it in your Rails applications in literally just a couple of commands in just a few minutes. Now, there's a lot here because when it comes to a SaaS billing system, there are so many essential components, and that's why it is so time consuming and so complex to actually implement all of these table stakes features that almost every SaaS application actually needs when it comes to billing customers and giving customers management over their subscriptions and then implementing it all in your Rails application. So with Instrumental Commerce, it includes everything that I always want to build into my Rails apps. Starting with a deep Stripe integrations, that's how we can process our payments. We want to give users an easy way to select a plan, like a pricing table. We're going to have an optimized checkout flow. Of course, we're going to be selling subscriptions as well as one-time products. We want to be able to handle coupons with promotional codes and some smart logic in the checkout flow for handling coupons. Of course, we need to give customers their own billing portal to see the status of their subscription and manage their payment methods. Now, when you're dealing with subscriptions, of course, in SaaS businesses, there also needs to be a cancellation flow. So when customers need to cancel their subscription, we also want to ask them for a reason, and they'll fill out a form for that. Now, this is one of the most important pieces, and it goes under the radar with SaaS billing systems, and that's what's known as dunning. So when customers are subscribed and they're paying month after month, but then their credit cards fail, that results in subscriptions becoming past due. Now, if you don't have a dunning system in place, then it's very easy for a SaaS business to leak revenue because of these subscriptions that become past due over time without a system to resolve those. So that's what dunning does. It builds in a system to notify customers when their subscription payments fail and give them an easy, friction-free way to go in and resolve their own payments so that you can recover that subscription revenue. Extremely important. Of course, there needs to be an admin panel where you manage your products as well as your customer activity and accounts and notifications throughout this whole system. So as you can see, just in the to-do list of building a robust SaaS billing system, there is a lot here. So let's start with a quick demo to show you what it actually looks like in an implemented app, and then we'll tear it all down and I'll show you exactly how to build all this. So let's start from the front end for what the customer actually sees. So we'll begin here. This is the plan selection page. All of this comes with Instrumental Commerce right out of the box. So you'll get a plans page where you can manage, multiple plans, and it has a monthly or yearly toggle switch. This is a very common pattern with SaaS pricing pages. In this case, we're just, selling 2 plans. You can have more than that, of course. We've got a starter plan and a pro plan. And then we're listing out benefits with check marks, and each of these has a little tooltip. Again, these are very common patterns when it comes to pricing pages for SaaS. These are the buttons that will lead to the checkout. Below that, we have the FAQ component, and that in itself is another component that's included with Instrumental Components. So Commerce, pulls in many different components like our buttons component, our tooltips component, selections like this. Okay, so the user is looking at their plan selection page, and they can go through and select a plan. So let's go with the starter plan, $29 a month, and they'll choose that. And then this takes the user into the checkout flow. Again, this whole view and user experience is included in Instrumental Commerce. The first step of the checkout is to identify the user. So they need to either register if they're a totally new user, or if they are a returning user, they can click this and it will switch to a login view. You'll notice here on the right, we're actually showing the user which product they're about to purchase, what the price of the product is. In this case, it is a subscription with a trial, so it'll tell them exactly when their trial will expire. So we're giving them those purchase details here on the right. Of course, with instrumental and all the layouts and everything, you can, customize all the design and look and feel and the branding. Now, all of this, of course, is, mobile optimized, and it is also dark mode friendly. So that's the case with everything in instrumental. And okay, so we're going to start by registering as a totally new user. Again, this whole view is like public, because you'll be promoting it to like public facing visitors on your website. Okay, so I'm just going to enter my email address and create a password. And then that takes me into the next step, which is collecting the payment details. Now, this whole form is powered by Stripe payment elements. This is a very robust API from Stripe. You can customize how the form functions and the styling and stuff. That's all powered by the payment elements API. All that code is built into Instrumental Commerce, a combination of a stimulus controller with all the JavaScript involved and some Rails controllers to make all this stuff happen. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put in a test credit card, the classic 4242. My fingers have really remembered that pattern there from testing it so many times. Okay, so I've put in my billing information. We're going to click the button. It's going to go into this processing state where we see the loading spinner. Now, it did pop up this email notification, which was sent to like me, the admin, right? The admin of the application. So this is to tell you as the product owner that, hey, there's a new purchase of a new subscription. Great. Now, what the customer sees right after checkout is they get redirected into this success page. And of course, you can customize this. You can redirect the user wherever you want. All of the billing code is right there in your Rails app, so you can manage all of this. So we're still here in the customer's perspective here. So the customer can go into their settings, they can go into billing, and now the customer sees their own billing portal where they have all of the details of what's happening with their subscription, which plan they're on, which payment method they've used. They can even, change or add additional payment methods here. They can see when their next billing date is. And in this case, it's a trial, but if they had already made some payments, then they would see a list of their payments history. So, standard stuff, but this kind of stuff takes a while to actually build out in each individual application. So that's why I built Instrumental Commerce as part of Instrumental Components, so that I can just pop all this stuff right into my app, and I can then get into building the actual features in my app. So we're going to get into the building phase here in just a second, but a couple more details here in this demo. So again, I'm the customer here. So if I want to, I can go to cancel my subscription. That's going to take me to a form where I can fill out a reason why I want to cancel. That's going to send to the admin. I'll say never mind on that for now. I can also go into my plan, and I can change my plan. So this takes me back to the plans page, but this time it's a little bit more dynamic because it knows that I am currently subscribed to the starter plan. If I switch to the yearly plan, you'll notice that this button text now says switch to yearly. So again, it's sort of like some smart logic on this button. So it knows like I'm still on the starter plan, but I can just change to yearly, or I can upgrade up to the pro plan. Now I'm going to go back into the admin dashboard. Again, the whole admin component, this whole backend dashboard in my app, that's another component included in Instrumental Components. And back here is where you as the application owner can manage your whole commerce system, starting from your products, starter and pro. And then inside of these, we have prices. And then you can also manage the plans and even manage all the individual benefits shown to the user here in these plans. So all of this is manageable from within the commerce section of your admin. And down here is where you can actually see the activity from your customers, like the list of purchases, the individual payments, and then you can even see your active and trialing and all the different status of your subscriptions. And then you can inspect each one, and you can get into the account that owns the subscription and the users. All that information is here for you in your admin dashboard. So that's a quick demo overview of what you get after it's all implemented into your Rails app. Now let's tear it all down, and I'm going to show you how we can actually build all of this in just a few commands in just a few minutes. I'll even show you a bit more like the dunning system and the cancellation flows, and how you can test it all in your local environment. All right, let's get into it. All right, so we're in a totally new project here, fresh Rails app. Now, off camera, I did do a couple of things to sort of lay some groundwork. I installed the instrumental components gem. I also installed a couple of components like the authentication component, the teams component, and the admin component. Now, I have another video covering the installation and initial setup of instrumental components. You can watch that. That'll catch you up to that point. But now we're at the point of actually installing the instrumental commerce component. So before I actually do that, let's just run the server just to show you where we're at with our project so far. So again, we have the authentication component all set up. We have the teams component, which sets up accounts and everything. So I'm going to start by just creating my user account as the admin. I'll use our registration form to create my own user account for my application here. Now I want to get to my admin, but I don't see it here. So this is a feature of our admin component. I'm going to open up the database. I like to use Table Plus for that. I have a shortcut to open that. So I'm going to go into my user that I just created, and I'm going to turn the admin flag to true, and I'll save that, refresh the app, and now I see the admin link here. Okay, so that takes me into the admin dashboard. You'll notice that we don't yet have commerce here because I have not actually installed the commerce component yet. So let's do that now. I'm going to go into the project, and we're going to do Rails G instrumental commerce. I'm going to use the fast flag because this is a very big component. There's going to be a lot of stuff to install. So let's just get through this much faster. So let's go do that. So as always with instrumental components, it's going to start with giving us sort of an overview or a preview of what it's about to install. We've got the commerce component, plus a couple of additional components like our panels component, copy to clipboard, our drag and drop reorder, that FAQ component that you saw during the demo. Those are going to be used in different parts of the commerce component, plus these additional components, which my project already has installed. Those were from the previous installations. All right, so that all looks good. I'm going to hit return to proceed with the whole process. And as you can see, I could, I could see everything that was installed here, but at the very end, actually it's still going. So it's just going to take a minute to finish up. Okay, so now it is finished. And here is the recap of what was installed. So the commerce component has been installed. 165 files have been added into our project. As you can see, we've got a whole bunch of controllers. We've got some new models. We've got a whole lot of views and ERB partials. Let's see, we've got some mailers that we've added. Different controllers and views for the admin panels and the user-facing stuff. So yeah, there's a lot there. We can kind of dig into the code base as we get into it. We did insert some things into some existing files. We added a whole bunch of migrations. We'll need to run those. We added a couple of gems. Of course, the Stripe gem, because this is a direct Stripe integration. We have the positioning gem for some reordering stuff. We added a whole bunch to our routes file. All right, so that's all good. Let's go ahead and we'll do bundle, and we will run those migrations. Oops, I always have a hard time talking and typing at the same time. Okay. Let's restart our server. I have a shortcut for that. And now we see commerce down here. Now, before we can start adding products and prices and everything, we actually have to set up Stripe and the connection between Stripe and our application. So there's a couple more setup tasks that we'll need to do. Now, you can refer to the instrumental components docs. Currently, I have that here, but by the time you watch this, it'll probably be up in a full doc site, but all the same information will be there. So we're going to have to add the Stripe API keys into our Rails credentials. So the structure of it is here. So you can grab that and we will open up the Rails credentials. Now, every Rails project has a slightly different way of doing this. I have a shortcut for editing my Rails credentials. So we have the structure in there, and now we have to actually add our publishable key and secret key. We'll add those first. So I'm going to go into my Stripe account, And I'm currently in test mode. I'll go into developers. I'll go to API keys, and we'll grab the publishable key and the secret key. Okay, so those two are all set. Now, of course, in production, you'll want to be in live mode. Now, since I'm working in my local development environment and this Stripe integration is going to depend on Stripe sending webhooks and my application receiving those webhooks and listening to those webhooks, like when payments are successful or when a subscription has canceled or when a subscription is updated and things like that, we need to set up that local connection. So Stripe has a really nice way of handling this. So first, we're going to need to make sure that we have the Stripe CLI installed, and you can get a link to that here in the docs. That's on Stripe's website. Get that installed on your system, and then you'll be able to we'll do Stripe login, return, sure that you are connecting to the correct Stripe account. You'll see this word here that should match, the word that you see in here. Okay, so now I have authenticated the correct Stripe account. And then you can go into the docs and grab this line. You'll want to run Stripe listen / localhost 3000 /Stripe/webhook. Now we have an active listener in this terminal tab, listening for the webhooks that are going to be coming from the Stripe test mode environment. Now we need to grab this webhook signing secret, and we need to add that to our credentials right here. I will save, and then I'll close the credentials. And as you can see, we've saved those credentials. So that's all set. One more step here, you'll go into stripe.rb. So the Commerce component added this file to config initializers stripe.rb. Just uncomment the line in there so that we're calling on the Stripe secret key from there. Okay, let's go back into our first terminal tab. We will stop the server and we'll restart it. All right, so now that we have the connection all set up, we need to start actually adding in our products and prices and plans and all that. So first, let's go over to the Stripe side, and I'll show you how I've organized things inside my Stripe account. So in this case, very similar to the demo that I just showed you earlier, we're going to have two products. Like Stripe calls these products, and so Instrumental Commerce also calls these products. I try to keep the naming, as consistent as possible, right? So we have two products. Again, what you saw earlier, the pricing page. One is going to be the starter plan. The other is the pro plan. Those are products in Stripe. And then if we open up the starter product, inside of that we have prices. These are prices in Stripe. I've got $29 a month or $288 per year. I chose $288 because when you divide that by 12, it makes a nice number for $24 a month, like sort of to promote it that way. We'll get into that in just a second. All right, so if I back out the pro plan, it has this old price that I'm not using anymore, but we've got $79 and then $780 per year. Okay, so first thing is we want to create the first product. That's starter. So I'm going to go into that product in Stripe, and we're going to grab that product ID that starts with prod _, and let's set that up in our application. So we're going to go to new product. We're going to call that starter. It'll be named the same way. We'll go into product details. It generated a slug automatically, and that looks good. Of course, we can customize it if we want to. And we're gonna, we want to put that prod ID in as the Stripe product ID here. We'll leave the rest of this blank. We can use that later when we present the product on the front end. That's all we need in terms of the product details. Now we'll go into the price. By the way, this whole component, this is the panels component that this comes with instrumental components. So, all these elements pull in other UI components that come with instrumental. Okay, so we're editing the starter product. We're going to go into its prices, and we're going to add a price. Just like we have two prices here, we need to create the two prices in our application. So we'll do starter monthly. Now the amount In Stripe, that's $29 a month. We need to actually enter that in cents. So 2900, that's actually $29. And then we need to put in the Stripe price ID. So if we go into this price, that'll be a price ID that starts with price underscore. You'll copy that, drop that in there. All right, so this is a monthly recurring price. So you'll want to check the box to say that this is recurring and this is a monthly plan. So it recurs every month. Let's give this a trial. We'll give it a 7-day trial and we will create that price. Cool. Now we need to create the other one. This is the annual price. So we'll do starter annual, and that price, if I back out, that's $288 per year. Let's go into that. We're going to need to get that price ID as well. So that's 288.00. And then that price ID is that one. That one is also recurring. This one recurs every year. Actually, you know what? I'm going to actually set this to 0 days so that I can show you both ways where you're selling a subscription with a trial, or sometimes you might be selling subscriptions where customers pay on day one. So I'm going to set this one to 0-day trial. In other words, like no trial. The billing code that we have in our controllers and everything for instrumental commerce is set up to handle both scenarios. So let's create that. I'm going to pause it here and I'm going to create the second product, Pro. I'm going to follow all the same things. I just don't want to waste time on the video here. So I'll just pause. Okay, so now I have my two products, Starter and Pro. If I go into Pro, you know, I have the product ID and I've got my two prices for the Pro plan, just like I had them for the Starter plan. Now let's see how we're doing on the front end so far. If I open up an incognito window, we'll go to localhost plans. And so that's where we're going to display our plans. You actually see no plans available. Even though we've added products and prices, we haven't actually added the visible plans in the pricing table yet. So those are managed separately in instrumental commerce. It just gives you more control over the presentation. So far all we've added is the actual underlying products and prices. And now we're going to set up the visual plans that a user can choose from. So we're going to go into our plan section and we're going to add our first plan. Again, this might feel a little bit redundant, but it actually gives you more control and customization over exactly what the user is going to see. So this is just an internal name first. We'll do starter, and it'll actually be the same as what we show on the front end. It'll be called starter. That's going to be like that blue label shown at the top. And then we have a price A and price B. So remember the monthly and yearly toggles on the pricing plans. That's what we sort of call the price A and price B. So this is the starter plan. So we're going to select the monthly price for starter monthly. That'll be our price A. And we will select starter annual. That'll be the price B for the starter plan. So let's actually back out and I'm going to do the same for the Pro plan. We'll call it Pro, and that will also display Pro as the name. Now in this case, we're going to select the Pro monthly price as price A and the Pro annual price as price B. So let's create that. Let's refresh our plans page, and there we go. So now we see two plans shown on the public plans page. Since we did set both a monthly and annual price, we are seeing the toggle here. And what this toggle is actually doing under the hood, and we have a whole Stimulus.js controller that manages all of this for you, is it's actually toggling just the price piece, and it's toggling the URL that these buttons point to. So if I were to click purchase Pro, and we're currently on the yearly plan. If I click that, it's going to take me into the checkout flow, and I'm purchasing the yearly plan for Pro. If I go back and if I go to monthly, it's going to actually take me in to purchase the monthly plan. And by the way, let's say I want to actually show the starter plan first, which I actually do. I'm going to go back into my plans page. And these are drag and drop, so you can reorder these. So I'm going to go like this. And so now starter is shown first. And if I refresh this, so now we have the starter plan showing first and then the pro plan on the right. Down here, we have the FAQ, and that's all in your code base. So you can go to plans. That's the partial that's managing most of this content. And then in here, you have you have the plans FAQ, and then you can manage, and this uses our FAQ component, and you can manage each question and the answer and everything. So, you can fill out the rest of this page if you want to. All right. So our plan page is not quite all set yet. As you can see, we're currently missing those benefits. So let's get those filled in. I'm going to go into the starter plan and let's go down to benefits. And so now we can add benefits to the plan. I'm going to add the first benefit. The first one is sort of like an internal name. And then the benefits text, that's the text that you see right next to the checkbox. And then if you want to have a tooltip next to it, you can fill this in with some information there. So I'm going to create that. Let's add a couple more benefits. I'm going to pause the video here. Okay, so I've added 5 benefits, and let's take a look at our plans page. And so now I can see we have 5 benefits shown for the starter plan. Notice how if I toggle between monthly and yearly, these things don't change because it's the same plan either way. So when we do that toggle, only the price and button URL change. All right, so now let's add these benefits to the pro plan, but I don't want to actually I don't want to create the benefits in 2 different places. So the commerce system is set up so that you can reuse the same benefits on multiple plans. It makes it really easy. So let's go to my other plan, the pro plan. I'll go into benefits, and I can add a benefit. Now instead of creating a new one, I can just add unlimited projects, and I can add unlimited tasks. Actually, the 5 documents, that'll be different on the pro plan. So in this case, I will create a different one. We'll do unlimited payments, and the others will be the same. Okay, so that's all set. Now I do want to fix up the order here. And so these benefits are drag and drop as well. So I can move these around. We want to have projects first. Okay, good. So let's take a look at this again. And so now we have all of our benefits laid out exactly the way that we want them. Great. Next, let's talk about coupons. First, I'll show you a quick demo. I'm looking at the plans page, but if we were to promote this with a special URL, just by adding the param coupon equals test code, and we'll just pretend that test code is an actual promotional code that we've set up in Stripe, which I actually did. I'm going to reload this page. And so now you can see it dynamically detected the existence of this coupon code in the URL. It pinged Stripe's API to see, is this a valid coupon code? If it is, then it's going to come back and it's actually going to dynamically adjust the price, crossing these out, showing the discounted price for each plan. It's doing all that dynamically. It's using it's hitting the API. It's doing that with some Stimulus.js built into instrumental commerce. Now, we're seeing that here on the plans page. And if I were to proceed to purchasing the starter plan, if I click that, now we're in the checkout flow, and you can see that the coupon was passed along and the coupon is shown in the price details here. We cross out the regular price and we're showing the discounted price. And you can even see this detail here where instead of it saying per year, this one says first year, and that was customized by me. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in just a second. All of this text here is customizable. And then if I proceed through the checkout, emails here. So now we're in the actual payment collection. And again, the coupon was passed along into this step. We still see it here. And now we see the coupon code down here. It's pre-filled with the coupon that's in the URL. And if I were to just type something else in there and make it like an invalid coupon, it'll recheck and it'll show that it's invalid. And then this resets to the correct price. Now, if I edit it again and make it a correct coupon, it revalidates after the key up event, and it'll show me the correct coupon there. Now, sometimes you just want to show the coupon field without pre-filling it with a valid coupon. And to do that, all you need to do is change the coupon param to coupon equals true. And so now we see the payment form with an empty coupon field that the user could put in a coupon code if they have one. Now, the reason why this is actually hidden by default, if we get rid of the coupon parameter altogether, we actually hide the coupon field. And that is an optimization when it comes to e-commerce and checkout, because you don't want to show users that there is a coupon field if they don't have one. Then they might go hunting for a coupon. They might abandon their checkout. And of course, we don't want that. So I always find that it's helpful to be able to promote direct URLs, whether it's from an email campaign or an advertising campaign or social media. You can point that to your checkout to promote a special sale only to certain people who might be aware that there's a coupon, or you might be giving them a coupon, but other public visitors should be able to just go through the checkout without any discount. Now, in this case, we have the coupon applied, so I'm going to go ahead and complete the checkout here. So for the customer, they reached the success page. And for me, as the app owner, I received my notification, my mailer, that there has been a new purchase, a new subscription. And in this case, it's showing me a different payment for today, which is different from what the product price will be, because they got half off on the first year. And if we look at the customer in Stripe, since I refreshed it a few times, you see these incompletes. Those are going to be cleared out by Stripe. But here is the active subscription that we just created. And you can see down here that the first payment was discounted thanks to the coupon. Now let's sort of backtrack a little bit. We're going to do this whole process again, and I'm going to show you how you can actually customize your coupon. So if I go into the plans page again, we're going to apply that same coupon equals test code. Oops, spelled it wrong. As you can see, I spelled it wrong there. So that is an invalid coupon, and it did not show a discount. So it's only showing it if it actually pulls a valid coupon from the Stripe API. Test code. Okay, so now we have the valid code applied. And if I go back into the checkout flow, so let me show you how this is actually wired up. So if I go into my Stripe account, if I go into product catalog, go to coupons, here's my test coupon. So I created this test coupon. And then inside the test coupon, you'll have promotion codes. Stripe calls them promotion codes. That's what we're using here. This is the actual code. In this case, it says test code. That's the thing that the customer sees. So we will go into that. And now we have some metadata. So I'm going to edit this and just delete these metadata items, because it would be blank by default. There would be no metadata. So you'll create a coupon, then you'll create the promotional codes for that coupon, and then inside the metadata for the promotion code, if you leave the metadata blank, that's totally fine. But here's what's going to happen on the front end. If I refresh this, first, we only show this message here. That's like the default fallback success message. It just says coupon applied. And the price here, we have our own logic built into the Stimulus.js controller that handles displaying the coupon code here. So it's going to actually calculate the discount, in this case 50% off of the 288, and it's going to display that with the same text that's shown here. But that's a little bit misleading in this case, because this particular coupon is set up to only give you 50% off in your first year, right? And so we have metadata to customize that. So first, let's customize this text. I'm going to go back into my Stripe coupon, and then inside the promotional code, in that metadata, I'm going to do success message. And by the way, all of this is documented in the documents for instrumental commerce. You'll find that here. So success message is the first one that we want to set. And we're going to say, you're in, instead of coupon applied. If I refresh this, now it says you're in. We want to add one more sentence description down below. So I'm going to add another metadata item. And this one is going to be our success description. Thanks for being awesome. We'll add that. I'll refresh. And so now we see that description down here. All right, so now let's handle this and make it more accurate to what the coupon actually does. So for that, we are going to want to use the custom append text. We could use the custom price text, and what that would do is it would be a totally customized text, like all the way through. If you want to have like a very specific dollar amount or some other message that you want to show there in terms of the replaced price. Instead of that, we're not going to use that one in this case. We're still going to use our own logic for calculating the amount, because the amount would be different depending on which plan you're on. But we do want to calculate the text that is appended after it. So that is why we have the custom append text metadata. I'm going to add that. We're going to add the third item here. And instead of per year, we're going to write first year. And I'll refresh that. And so now it's displaying how we exactly want it. We're giving the customer a very accurate view in terms of what this discount that they're getting for the first year. It's not every year. So all of these little details are really important because it gives customers confidence when they're going through the checkout flow. And that, of course, leads to higher conversions, more purchases, more revenue, better business. These things are really important. It's a lot of technical details on the back end and in our code base, and you can dig into them into your project. But when it comes to actually running a SaaS business, these kind of details really, really matter. Let's move on now to the dunning system. So first, we're going to go back. I'll just start a new incognito session here. And what I'm going to demonstrate here is subscribing with a credit card that will fail when the subscription starts to renew or start to charge the card. And then I'm going to show you how instrumental commerce handles that and gets the customer to resolve their own subscription so that we don't lose out on that revenue. All right, so I'm going to subscribe now to the starter plan that's on a trial. I'm going to choose that, and I can see the trial information here. I'm going to create a new account. All right, so now I'm in the payment details. Now, in order to test this out and demonstrate it, you'll want to use a very specific Stripe test credit card. So if you open up Google and just go to Stripe test cards, you'll find this page. So this is a page where Stripe gives you, a whole list of test credit cards. So you can test all these different scenarios. These are all the success cases. But then if you scroll down, if you go down to declined payments, you can test here what would happen if you enter a credit card that should generate a decline. But down here, this is a very specific one. It's going to decline after attaching. That means that when we initially attach it, when we initially use this credit card in the checkout flow, it's going to be successful here. It's not actually charging because this is going to start a free trial. It's going to create what's known as a setup intent in the Stripe API. And it's going to be successful here. So I'm going to put this in, but then later when we go into the future and we charge the first subscription charge for this, that is going to fail. So that's what this specific card, the 0341 card, is going to do. So I'm just going to fill out this checkout here. I'm going to start my 7-day trial. By the way, this button, the text is dynamic. So if you're selling a trial, then it'll show the trial here. If you're just selling it with no trial, it'll say purchase the subscription. All right, so let's go ahead and process that. Now the customer is like in their free trial. They haven't yet been billed for the first time, but when they do, that's going to fail. So how do we actually simulate that? Well, Stripe has a really cool feature to simulate the passage of time, and we're going to use that right now. Go into Stripe, and here is that most recent customer. You can see this customer is on the starter plan. It's on a free trial. It hasn't been billed yet. And the payment methods is this 0341, and that is expected to fail when we get up to the first charge, which should be 7 days from now because it's a 7-day free trial. So to simulate this, we go into the subscription itself, and here is this really cool feature with Stripe. You can run a simulation, right? And so what's going to happen here is we're going to actually take like a time capsule into the future, and I want to go 1 week into the future. Actually, we'll do 1 week plus 1 day. So this is 8 days into the future. The first charge is going to be 7 days from now. So we're going to fast forward through, past the day where they're supposed to be charged, and that charge is going to fail. Now, when I do this and we advance the time, once we get up to that 7th day and charge, it's going to fail, and then it should send an email to the customer. We're going to see that. All right, so let's go ahead and advance the time. And you'll see this sort of play out right here. And you can even look at your logs, and you can see that. Okay, so now using Letter Opener Gem to test our mailers, now we're seeing the actual mailer that is sent to the customer. So the customer received this email. You can customize the content of this mailer, of course. We do have some code in here to automatically detect your primary color in your Tailwind colors, and we use that to render this button in the email that a customer receives. Now, from a business standpoint, one of my core goals here is to make this as frictionless as possible, make it really easy for a customer to resolve their own subscription that is now past due. And before I get into that, let's just take a look at the subscription. As you can see, now the subscription is past due because the payment failed. So we're going to go back into this mailer, and let's actually close out of this incognito window so that we are simulating the case where the customer received the email, but the customer is not even logged in to our application. Again, we don't want to add friction. We just want to have the customer click this button and be able to resolve straight away. So I'm going to click the button. We are going to open it up in an incognito tab just to sort of like demonstrate this, but it's the same as if the customer just clicked the button in the email that they received. And then we take them to this very clean, simple resolution page where they can just enter a new successful credit card to pay for their card. We also give them a simple link here to use their existing credit card. So that would be helpful if they've already called their bank, they've resolved whatever issue it is. So they could click that, and then they can just retry their current card, very easy. Or if they just actually need to change to a new payment method, then they can click this, and it's going to load the new payment form. All right, so let's go ahead and have the customer put in a successful card this time, and they will pay. And actually, we need to fix the little currency symbol there. We'll get that fixed. We're going to process that. And all set. It's going to ask me to log in because I wasn't actually fully logged in. We did sort of identify the customer using a special resolution token from the button here. But if we go back into Stripe and we refresh this subscription, now we see the subscription is active again. Phew, we've resolved that subscription. Actually, the customer resolved it on their own. So this is a really important piece of any SaaS business. You don't want this subscription revenue sort of like leaking out of the business, right? Okay, so I'm going to actually log in as the customer again. And I'm back into my application, and I can go into my settings, and I see the billing. So the last piece that I want to show you here is the cancellation flow. So if I'm the customer and I want to actually cancel my account, I can go to cancel my subscription. And that's going to take me to this form. And again, this is one of those business things that I think is really important. We always want to know what are the top reasons for the churn that's happening in our subscription business. Why do customers want to cancel? You can get a lot of really good insights from this form. So we're going to ask the customer to give us a reason. It wasn't a good fit because what? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel my subscription. If I click this. So this is the mailer that is, again, sent to the admin, you as the product owner. And this, informs you that a subscription has been canceled, and it gives you the reason that the customer typed in. And by the way, the reply to is also pointing to the customer's email address, which is a really good thing because you can just reply to this email and get into an exchange with the customer and have a discussion and try to learn more from your customers so you can see why they're canceling, how you can make your product better, and reduce your churn rate. Now, on the customer's end, they're taken back into their subscription overview. It will actually schedule the cancellation for the end of the billing cycle. It's not going to schedule it immediately because they did pay for the current month. So as you can see, the status here says cancellation scheduled. And if we look at Stripe, we refresh the subscription. It's still active as of today, but it is scheduled to cancel on June 24th. And if the customer just wants to resume their subscription, all they need to do is click this button. And just like that, I resumed my subscription as the customer, and we're back to active status. If I refresh the subscription in Stripe, it's back to active. It's not going to cancel. So all these little details, all these little interactions, they are handled between your application and Stripe. Again, like these are really important details because each individual one might seem small on its own, but it all adds up to a healthy, robust SaaS business. You need to have customers being able to subscribe and check out, of course, but you also need to have customers changing their plans and resolving their past due plans and canceling and then resuming their plans. I mean, one of the most interesting things about my SaaS business is that customers cancel and then they often come back and they resume their plan like 4, 6, 8 months down the line. So you always want to have these details handled. Now, I know I didn't actually show you too much of the actual code, but all of this now resides in your Rails project. So one thing that you'll see is that all of the instrumental commerce component is actually underneath the namespace commerce. The checkout controller is where a lot of the action happens, from like the registration flow into initiating the payment intent. That's how it connects to the Stripe API. And then we also process the checkout. There's sort of like a handshake that happens that goes back and forth between the Stripe API and our application. All of that is handled. We also validate the coupon in here. The other important file in this whole system is the checkout controller JS. This is the stimulus controller that we've built right into that whole transaction that happens between Stripe and the checkout. And all of this is also incorporated in with the the payment method. So the payment methods controller handles adding and removing payment methods, changing a default payment method. We've got a coupon controller. So inside the JavaScript folder, inside controllers, your stimulus controllers are all in here, but the commerce specific stimulus controllers are in their own namespace. And then same thing in the admin. So the admin component gives you an admin namespace, and then within there we have some commerce specific controllers, and that's what's handling the admin commerce backend here, where we're managing our products and prices and all this kind of stuff. So as you saw in this video, there is a lot there. It's all intertwined. All the logic is right there in your project for you to dig into. I tried to comment it as much as possible. And of course, it's all documented in the docs, which are continuing to evolve. So by the time you watch this video and get into the docs, there will be even more there. So all that is included in instrumental components. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, or you can join our customers group. And if you want more of a high-level overview of instrumental components, you can see the other video that I just recorded there, which installed the base component system, the admin system, the authentication system, the team system. There's so much more. Whew. All right. Thank you for watching. This was a long one, but it's all there. See ya.